The second type of family immigration is the family preference. These visas are for specific, more distant family relationships with a U.S. citizen and some specified relationships with a lawful permanent resident or LPR. The number of immigrants in these categories is limited each fiscal year. For family preference, there is actually a visa cap that is being issued for each of these family preference visas. This is why the wait time for the approval and the issuance of the visa for family preference is longer than the immediate relative family-based petitions. Now, there is a difference between a U.S. citizen petitioner and a permanent resident petitioner. Keep in mind that U.S. citizens can file an immigrant visa petition for their spouse, son or daughter, parent, brother, or sister. Now, for U.S. lawful permanent residents, they can only file an immigrant visa for their spouse or unmarried son or daughter. For family preference visas, there are actually 4 countries that are oversubscribed, meaning to say that there are more applicants or there are more demands for the visa than there is a visa available for each year for these countries. The oversubscribed countries are Philippines, Mexico, India, and China. In general, family-sponsored preference visas are limited to 226,000 visas per year. So by statute, these annual visa limits may be exceeded when certain immigrant visas from the previous fiscal year's allocation were not fully used. In addition, there are limits to the percentage of visas that can be allocated based on an immigrant's country of chargeability, usually the country of birth. When the demand is higher than the supply of visas for a given year in any given category or country, a visa queue, a waiting list, or a backlog forms. To distribute the visas among all preference categories, the Department of State allocates the visas according to a prospective immigrant's preference category, country of chargeability, and priority date. What happens when the priority date becomes current? Immigrants may be able to adjust their status if they are in the U.S. or if they are outside the U.S., they can apply for an immigrant visa and obtain lawful permanent resident status if otherwise eligible. How do you find your priority date? If you are a prospective immigrant, you can find your priority date on Form I-797 Notice of Action for the petition filed on your behalf. The waiting time for the immigrant visa depends on the following factors. There are actually 3 factors that must be considered. First, the demand and supply for immigrant visa. Second, per country visa limitations. And third, number of visas allocated to your preference category. Here are the family preference categories: F1, F2A, F2B, F3, and F4. I apologize for the typo for FB2, which should be F2B. Preference categories apply to family members who are not immediate relatives, so the visas allotted for these categories are subject to annual numerical limits, meaning to say there is a visa cap. A visa becomes available to a preference category based on the priority date or the date the Form I-130 was filed. So please take note of this date. Here are the preference categories. For first preference or F1, these are for unmarried adult sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. Adult means 21 or older. For second preference or F2A, spouses of green card holders, unmarried children under 21 of permanent residents. Second preference or F2B, these are for unmarried adult sons and daughters of permanent residents. For third preference or F3, married sons and daughters any age of U.S. citizens. Fourth preference or F4, brothers and sisters of adult U.S. citizens. Now, for immediate relative category, the petition form is I-130. It's also the same for family preference visas. Not all family members or relatives can petition you to come to the U.S. For example, aunts and uncles cannot petition you to come to the U.S. In addition, grandparents, also cousins cannot bring you to the U.S. Grandchild or any distant relative cannot petition you to come to the U.S. as well. A foreign citizen must be sponsored by an immediate relative who is at least 21 years of age and is either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident or a green card holder. Let's talk about the immediate relatives. A U.S. citizen who is 21 years of age can petition his or her parent or parents, a spouse, also a child who is unmarried and below 21 years of age. Here are the advantages if you are an immediate relative. First, the visas are always available for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. Also, a family member does not need to wait in line for a visa, meaning there is no visa cap. This is the reason IR petitions are faster. If you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, and if you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.